Good morning. Okay, so the last topic that I am going to discuss before our midterm exam. Okay, so please take note that this topic will be included sa inyong midterm examination. Okay, so ano ang topic? So, guiding tourists with special needs. Okay, so by the end of this topic, learners shall be able to, number one, identify the enabling factors that have led to increased numbers of travelers with disabilities. Number two, discuss the tour guiding techniques applicable when dealing with various disabilities. Number three, explain the general guidelines for working with people with disabilities. And the number four, describe the new opportunities for travelers with disabilities. Okay, so let's continue. So, growth in travelers with disabilities. Okay, so recent years have seen an overwhelming increase in the percentage of travelers with disabilities, with the number likely to rise in the future. Okay, so the 1990s and the succeeding decades have provided increased opportunities for people with special needs. Okay, so presently, there is a tremendous increase in the number of travelers with disabilities, with the percentage expected to increase in the future due to the following reason. Number one, the increase in the average ages of the traveling population. So usually, we have noticed nga ang traveling population naton, ang ilang average age, sige man ang pagsaka. Okay? So, as travelers grow older, it is likely that illnesses and accidents that will cause limitation will occur. Hence, there will be more people living with disabilities, which is evident worldwide in modern cities. And the number two, recognition of the disabled. Okay. So, ano ini ang mga tao or ano ang classification sini sa mga tourists with special needs? Okay. Let me read. While traveling to other places, some tourists have special needs which service providers should cater for by adjusting their existing services or providing extra ones to them. These particular needs may be due to a disability affecting mobility, speech, hearing, sight, or mental health of the customer, while other may be a result of age, economic position, physical state as that moment, amongst other. So tourists who may be considered as having special needs include the following. Ang number one naton will be the very important person or the VIPs. They usually require the service and attention of specially trained guides in some instances. They may benefit from having special arrangement of service checks upon arrival and departure at attractions, airports, and hotel. Number two are the children. They are sensitive to health issues and active, thus require special attention. Pwede man ni sila nga dasig madula or masakitan or hurt with dangerous object or animal. So dapat gina-cater taman ni sila in a special manner. And the number three are the infants. Although often accompanied by adult, they may require outlets with baby food, diapers, bassinets, and etc. Next are the elderly tourists. Okay, so ang elderly tourists naton, amo ni ang aton nga mga senior citizen. So usually, ga-require ini sa mga special meal sa ila or ga-require kita sinisang van nga daw medyo manubo. Sometimes they requiring wheelchair, extra time para maglakat-lakat because mahinay sila. Okay, now, sometimes ang aton nga paghambal, paghatag sang aton nga tour commentary sa ila medyo mahinay, ang aton nga facing kag daw medyo matunog because sometimes may mga hearing problems na ni sila. Or kinahanglan niya kaptan because sometimes dasig sandad or matumba. Okay? And then ang mga expectant to rest, depending with the state of pregnancy, certain activities or level of indulgence may be limited for this expectant mother. So they require soft adventure, clean accommodation, food, water during tour, and an attendant to assist them in case needed. Okay, we also have the disabled, tourist with medical condition, and then ang religious naton nga mga travelers. Okay, now, general guidelines for working with the disabled. Number one, we need to understand that a slower pace is necessary. Unlike sa mga regular nga traveler, nga dasigay ang lakat, usually when you are having guests with special needs, especially ining may mga mobility issue, sometimes mas mabudlay ang paglakat-lakat. That is why kinahanglan naton i-adjust ang aton nga facing, ang aton nga timing sa paglakat or sa pag-tour. Amo na nga ako niya ginahambal nga hindi mo pwede i-partner ining may mga mobility problem for those nga mga active because you as a tour guide, mabudlayan ikaw. Ikaw ang manimbang for both group. Okay? Now, number two, recognition of varying individual level of disability. So guides should begin a tour without expecting a group or individual's level of ability to be the same because every person with disability is different and has his or her own weaknesses and strength. Okay? Continue. Number three, knowledge of disabled support facilities. Guides should know all the entrances and access to buildings included during the tour, as many of the buildings designated as accessible may have limited accessibility during the tour. For example, a building may have an access ramp but may not have an elevator. This means that all floors except the first floor are inaccessible. It is the guide's responsibility to visit a site before the tour in order to save on time and avoid frustration. Because when we are dealing with our disabled guests, especially kung mga naka-wheelchair, there is a possibility nga ang iba niya mga tourist spot wala sa mga ramp, meaning hindi makasaka ang wheelchair. In that case, how are you going to bring the guests sa babaw kung wala sang ramp, kag wala man sang elevator? That is why it is highly suggested sa mga guide or sa tour operator or sa travel agency, if you have this kind of guest, to at least visit ahead of time, to check ahead of time para nga hindi mauyang ang tiyempo nga pag-abot ninyo dito, even your guest will end up disappointed because hindi man siya gali kakadto, because wala sa mga facilities intended for them. Those nga mga naga-wheelchair or those nga mga mahinay na yung maglakat nga hindi na makasaka sa third floor or sa fourth floor or sometimes sa mga observatory. Okay? So, imo gid na iya nga responsibility. Okay? So, knowledge of special services. The guide should be aware of the existing special services in attraction and tourist facilities that may enhance the tour and make it comfortable. Several places such as airports, museum, public buildings offer special services for people with disabilities. And ang number 5 is consideration of the ability and pace of the group. Okay. When traveling with a group with only 1 or 2 persons with disabilities, the guide must consider the abilities and pace of the whole group, especially for those of traveler with disability. Okay. Guide should inform a person with disability in advance if there is a forthcoming obstacle, and in some cases, the person may choose to stay behind or the guide may suggest that he or she may browse at the shop or near the motor coach. Amo ini ang ginahambal nga prior sa pag-depart ninyo, hambalon mo na nga daan ang imo nga mga guest, especially kung may mga disability. may mga disability, for example nga, ay ma'am, sa aton nga pakadtuan may mga sakaan kita nga hagdan, so I don't think makaya mo ni siya because wala man kita dito sang ramp or wheelchair, so may I suggest nga you can wait for us here, or you let the guest decide kung maghambal man siya nga kaya but still kinahanglan mo bantayan ang guest. Karon kaya-kaya, dayon pagkatapos hindi gali. And then ikaw ang mabutang sa alang-alang, tiin nyo ginahihakwaton ang guest nga magpanaog para nga makalabot nga moliwat sa inyo nga bus. That is why sa mga amo niya guest, allow na lang naton sila nga magstay sa souvenir shop, mag-browse-browse sa mga baligya dira while waiting for the other guests to come back. Okay. Responding to tourists with disabilities. So I will have to discuss until 5 here. So the following are important points for tour guides to remember when dealing with travelers with disabilities. Okay, number 1, treat all travelers with dignity and respect. Number 2, offer help always and respect the response for your offer of assistance, because sometimes the guest may decline your offer. Hindi kaya ko ni, okay lang kaya ko yung maglakat-lakat bisan wala ako yung ginakaptan na mga amo na. Always communicate in a very clear manner so that everyone can understand. And then learn more about disabilities and ways to enhance the tours for travelers with disabilities. Be observant for signs of disability. Okay. So, diri ko i-end ang lesson para nga ang remaining naton nga lesson will be included na lang sa aton nga final, which includes the impairment or different types of disabilities.